Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Is the camera? Yes. Oh, you never know with that camera. Hello, everyone. I see you, Mr. Universe and Mr. Reardon. Yes, this is an early show. We're actually recording for my radio show. So excerpts from this are going to go into the radio show, but we're going to range probably a little wider. And if any cussing accidentally happens, I'll have time to do some creative editing. So just let me do the intro for the radio shows. Hello, welcome to the Pink Flame of Liberty. Today, this Saturday, no, it's not Saturday right now, but it will be Saturday when you guys hear this. I am interviewing my friend Daniel Lutz. And is it Lutz or Lutz? It's Lutz, isn't it?
It's so technically, if it had the umlauts over it, it would be Lutz. Without it, it is Lutz. I pronounce it Lutz. I just haven't had the time to change it.
I was just hoping I had that right, because I used to say Lutz, then other people corrected me, but you never corrected me. So then I decided, well, I have you here, I was going to say. So, Daniel's running for House District 49 in the state of Colorado, and I asked him here to talk about his campaign, and he's also one of the sponsors of the show. And after saying that, I'm supposed to say paid for by the committee to elect Daniel Lutz to House District 49. So we just complied with the state. Go away, NSA.
Actually, that's not you don't have to comply with that until you've spent $1,000 on electioneering.
Really? So you've
Yes.
made me lick state boot when I
yes.
didn't have to.
That was my own personal. Yeah.
You're lucky. I can't cuss in this show. And H. Reardon says we say louts in Florida.
Yeah, there's a little town by Tampa called Lutz or Lutz. And I lived down in Tampa for about 3 months, just not too far from there. That was a fun little running joke every day at work.
Oh, he says like the name Lou, so Lutz. Well, that's what we were saying.
Yeah, Lutz.
Yeah, Lutz. What are you messing with us for, Reardon? Okay. For those of you on the show, we are interacting with live comments. Not sure if I'm going to keep this part in or not in. We'll find out at the end. But Daniel and I have been friends for a long time. We also fight like cats and dogs sometimes, and hopefully that won't happen on the show, but it might. It's kind of like me and Mike Seebeck. Me and Mike have had our moments. Oh, God, you should see some of the outtakes. Woo!
You should do a whole special of nothing but your outtakes of the best arguments.
Oh, Mike! If Mike's listening, we had one argument where I just decided to shut up, and and I'm like, Mike, I'm not going to air this part. But we are here again to talk about your campaign. So, and Mike is here. So, I do want questions from the audience if there are any. Oh my God, you're like in the little kitsy.
I know, right?
If there are any questions from the audience, they can be very specific to Daniel's campaign or more general about campaigning as a libertarian, because I know a lot of people have questions about that, and not everybody's from Colorado. And how many times have you campaigned before? Because I know this isn't your first rodeo.
No, this is the third time I have now run for a public office. The first time was for a health district in Clear Creek County that they were looking to set up. They didn't set that one up. I was running for it while also running against it. And thankfully, I won out on not having to deal with a special health district up there. And then the second time I was running for Colorado House District 13, I unfortunately did have to pull out of that race early due to some personal family issues. And then I'm back again for this one, and this has been the strongest run so far.
Well, and they say sometimes your third one ends up being at least Kara, I know at National has said that quite a bit. But for people who are watching that aren't necessarily familiar with Colorado, we're going to make you all jealous for a little bit because ballot access in Colorado is so easy. So how many signatures did you have to get to be put on the ballot, Daniel?
0. Absolute donut hole.
How much money did you have to pay to be put on the ballot?
Not a dime.
Okay, we are blessed here in Colorado. That is not the case in a lot of other places. With very rare exception, and it's usually like with the transportation district races where you might have to get a couple hundred signatures.
Stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's most of the big races, that most people are accustomed to, House, State House, State Senate, even federal races, we don't have to gather any signatures or pay any money. For my town council race, I have to get 30 signatures. Like, it's the block. Like, you can get it if you can't get that. So I just wanted to rub that in, I guess, a little bit. So where in Colorado, what comprises House District 49?
So much of the country, we just went through a redistricting, and House District 49 has been redrawn. Originally, it composed of everything around like Fort Collins and a little bit west of there, Estes Park and up around that northern area. Now it stretches down into a lot of old House District 13, which has been kicked farther west for some reason. I don't know, I wasn't on the districting board, but it goes from the Wyoming border, up around Estes Park and all that, all the way down to Clear Creek County, so down to I-70. It is a very long, district, or a Florida-looking district.
Oh, a Florida-looking district.
Very long, a lot of driving, and almost no major metropolitan areas. And by that, I mean like no city like the size of Fort Collins or Denver or something. It is a mountain district. And it is about time that it has mountain representation. A lot of those of us in Clear Creek, Gilpin County, and all that have been represented by who Boulder County picks. And while Boulder County absolutely has their input, it's about time we have our input too.
So is some of Boulder in your...
A little bit of Boulder County is, but not the city of Boulder. It actually is just west of the campus is where the district picks up.
Okay, so it is mostly mountains.
Yeah, mostly mountains.
Mountain folks are unusual.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to be to live up, anywhere 8, 9, 10,000 feet and covered in 5 feet of snow. But that's the great thing about being up there, too, is we're used to having great challenges to deal with. And that's kind of what we want to do. We want to come down to Denver and deal with some of these great challenges that have just been sitting on the side for a while.
Yeah. Well, I want to live in the mountains. You know that for a long time, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. So, questions. First of all, what's like your libertarian background?
My libertarian background. So I guess my pedigree within the Libertarian Party kind of starts actually around the same time yours does, in 2016.
I joined in 2014, you baby.
Oh, God. Okay, so you got 2 years on me. That's when I got officially involved with the party and actually started doing more stuff. I kind of developed more libertarian views all throughout my life. I started off, I was a very conservative Republican in North Carolina.
I can't picture that.
Right? I voted for Bush once at least. It's the truth, but I joined the Marine Corps. I spent 8 years in the Marine Corps. I got out as a sergeant. I served in Iraq, and that is actually where Iraq is where I really started to transform my views from where I was to where I am now. There's just something about being out there at the tip of the spear of American foreign policy and seeing what it really does, what its effects really are. We can talk about what we want it to be back here in the States all day long. It all changes the second it's implemented in another person's country. And looking at just everything I saw, not just in Iraq, Australia, Singapore, Bahrain, Dubai, Jordan, all these different places I got to visit. You know, one thing I realized? We as humans have way more in common than we have differences.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And I got really sick and tired of seeing divisions being pushed in this country, particularly by the two parties, and the powers that be within the two parties. And seeing what it was doing not only to the citizens of our country, the service members of our country, but the citizens and innocent civilians in other countries. And I couldn't do it anymore, so I started researching different political philosophies. I read a lot of Kant, I read a lot of Locke. And
Kant, you know, that's an author after my own heart. But,
right? There's more people than Mises and Rothbard out there. And then, Frederick Bastiat is actually probably my favorite libertarian author. And if anyone out there has not read The Law by Friedrich Bastiat, go read that. If nothing transforms you into a libertarian, that will. Subdivisions.
Yeah, they'll distract you the whole time, and if you let them know they're distracting you, you will start to see some crazy crap come across comments. That's all
I know.
I have
I've
to say.
spent time in the comments section
Yes,
myself.
and you see where I go. Okay. Mike, you're going to laugh when Daniel came down here. He's like, your studio looks a lot bigger when I'm watching it. Mike knows how cramped it is down here. We are just tripping over each other. It is literally a corner of my basement.
Yeah, this is a beautiful optical illusion you're seeing here, people. It's a Styx song. I love Styx. But back on topic. I got more involved. I left the Marine Corps in 2013. And I didn't move out here to Colorado till around 2015. And once I got settled and was able to get myself more involved, I got involved with the LPCO. I served on the board of directors in 2017. I also served on the bylaws committee. I just finished another stint on the board of directors as the fundraising person. And please, if I get elected to this seat, when I get elected to this seat, do not put me in charge of fundraising. I'm not actually very good at it.
I think you're good at it. It was a tough year.
It was a tough year. And then being followed up, for those of you who don't know, Erin King is our new fundraising director here in LPCO. She is fantastic. In one event, I will say she had raised more for the party in one event than I did in an entire year. So give her kudos and props for that whenever you talk to her. But the stuff I am interested in, where my focus is the legalese. Law and politics has been a long-time interest of mine. And
What kind of politics?
Law and politics.
Oh, law. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And anyone, and you can attest to this,
Yeah.
Karen Ann, people who know me know that there's one thing I'm a huge stickler for. I don't have to be right or wrong. I have to be accurate. I can be wrong in my opinion. People can disagree with me, but I have to be accurate in the facts that I'm stating. And law and politics has a lot of that. And that's always been a passion that just irritates the crap out of everybody else that I know. My D&D groups, all that kind of stuff. So I found a place where it was an appreciated skill.
He said D&D.
Yes.
Definitely a true libertarian. The geek factor just went way up.
I actually, before coming here, I was looking at a gaming store down here in town to go stop
There's a
by and
gaming
visit.
store? Where?
It's a comic book store.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm not a big comic person.
yeah.
I'm a nerd, but not a comic nerd.
Okay, perfect. So we've been on a board together. We've argued quite a bit.
Oh, yes.
But so in your campaign, what are the issues that are relevant to your district, and what are the libertarians? I know this is super wide open, but now I'm giving you the time to just do your shtick. I know in some of the ad copy I read for you, you talk about fire issues. Crap, I forgot where I had my little read thing, but you know your issues. I know fire's one of them, though, because people don't realize what a big deal in Colorado fires are.
Oh, my God, yes.
Yeah.
Out here. Now, those of us who live out here, we do. Forest fires are a constant. I have been... Yes! I have summoned the D&D caucus. Natural 20 on my on my summon check there.
Objection, speculative.
What, do I have to roll in front of you now?
Oh, God. I have the dice upstairs. You know that.
But yeah, no, so fire safety is an absolute huge one, and particularly for District 49. We are in that Front Range area. We've had 3 fires already this year that I can think of off the top of my head. And we haven't even really gotten into the dry fire season. We're just now starting to get into that. And there's one thing that fire is an indiscriminate hater. It will destroy anyone's property. It will go after anyone's family. It does not matter. And it's one of the few things that I think even libertarians can go, okay, yeah, this can kind of be considered a collectivist problem, because it's going to affect the vast majority of us that live in these areas. The big strategy that I have for improving our fire safety specifically, and then safety is going to be one of the biggest things of my campaign, and I'll touch on public safety here in a minute because that is a very relevant one for most everyone right now. But here in Colorado, we have what's called PILT money, and that's
PILT?
PILT, P-I-L-T, payment in lieu of tax.
Okay, I have to tell you, I don't mind when it's saying I'm ignorant of something. I'm completely ignorant of that, so you might need to explain that.
No, I was too. Don't feel bad. I was too. And here's going to be one of the, when elected, I go to the people that know. So I went to the president of one of the fire associations in my district, and this is a plan that him and other firefighters had been putting together. And it brings a significant amount of money to your local fire departments without raising taxes on anybody. And that is going to be one of the key things. I will never do anything to raise taxes. The very first step is always going to be, if we need the money, can we raise the money through donations, 1, and 2, can we find the money in fraud, waste, and abuse in other places? So this PILT money is payment in lieu of tax, and it's federal money, essentially, for lands within counties and municipalities that are owned and held by the federal government, usually parklands and stuff like that, that the municipalities cannot collect property taxes on. So to make up for that money, that revenue that they would be missing out on, they get this money from the federal government. It's allotted for schools, road and bridge, and fire at the federal level.
Is it like the federal government paying property taxes to the state on the property that they're owning within the state? Like loosely. Like for the average Joe to like... How much of your district is owned by the federal government?
Ooh, that's a gotcha question.
Oh, no, I wasn't trying.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
No, because people don't realize how much of Colorado. Now, I don't think we're the state that has the most owned.
No, I think it's Nevada has the most owned.
I thought it was like New Mexico, somewhere, yeah, there. Yeah, no, but we do. There's a lot owned by the federal government here.
And quite a few of the 4 counties that fall within my district, quite a bit of that land does fall in that.
Yeah.
And what it goes down to is once the money hits Colorado, it gets divided up between road and bridge and schools. The fire department has been entirely cut out of this. And what's happening instead
Which is crazy for mountain because that's where the fires are. It gets insane there. Okay.
Well, and it's a lot cheaper to protect a road or a school from burning down than it is to build a new one. So that's... And it's not even taking the dedicated money from those. Because what happens is the money comes in, 25% goes to schools, 25% to road and bridge, and then those two battle over the remaining 50%. So that's not even a dedicated part of their budget yet. We take 25%, we give that to the fire department like they're supposed to have, and then the other 25%, fire, road and bridge, and schools can all fight over. What's that? Nevada tops, then Utah.
We're going to put that up because I think people will be very curious. So Mike Seebeck said for federal lands owned, Nevada, then Utah, followed by Wyoming, Montana, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico. Funny, all Region 1 states, at least former Region 1. And he said he's pretty sure of that. It might be wrong, but it's close. That's pretty close to accurate if it's not 100%.
I wouldn't doubt that all of those states are in there, if not in that exact order. But this is, like I said, this is money that can be going to our local fire departments, money that's already coming into the state, money that is not raising taxes on Coloradans to pay for services that honestly we do need. There's a lot of libertarians who may disagree on stuff like police and fire, but the fact is there are a lot of libertarians who also agree these are services that are needed. And right now, this is probably one of the best options that we have to keep things running. And then, before I jump into public safety.
Okay. I have a question for you on fire in general.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Just because I don't know. Is there, in your district or in that general area, is there volunteer fire departments or are they all state?
No, there's volunteer. Actually,
Didn't you used to do that?
No. I've looked into doing volunteer firefighting.
Somebody who was on LPCO board did, and I thought it was you.
No. Much respect for volunteer firefighters, though. And that, honestly, like of all the government entities, I think the fire department is one of the most that is propped up by libertarians because they ask for donations. They don't just go straight for tax money. They try and do things in a nice way. They don't show up unless they're needed. They're like the perfect government entity for libertarians.
Yeah.
I have done firefighting stuff before, but that was as part of me being an engineer in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
Not actually trained to be a firefighter. And hats off to those men and women. They do a very dangerous, very amazing job. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and who was on our board that just got really affected by the last wildfires? Was it Burroughs or...
I thought it was Reed. He was close to some of that.
No, it's one of the two. Oh, my God. It was either John Burroughs or Gavin... I think it was John Burroughs.
Was it
that
John?
Couldn't come to a couple board meetings because his house was in danger. Or, I don't... Kind of just going off topic here, trying to just relate all the pieces together. But okay, I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
No, it's all good. But the benefit of doing that this way, the benefit of getting this money to your local fire departments is it does give them more resources to get equipment that they need, to hire people that they need. Because there are quite a few areas, like where I live, we have a volunteer fire department. And it is actually not having a fully manned one, the closest one being over 30 minutes away or almost 30 minutes away, is in home insurance. Everyone up there is paying out the nose on home insurance.
Now that's what I know is home insurance, and I know being far from a fire department and a fire hydrant will raise your rates. They ask you on an application how far you are from the nearest fire hydrant.
Mm-hmm. Which, up where I'm at, we don't even have fire hydrants.
We have like rivers
we don't even
and
have paved roads. Yeah, we've got dirt and buckets.
Yeah, they're driving around. I'm driving, riding around on donkeys, burros.
Yeah, we actually do up at St. Mary's. We do have a fire station. We've got a fire truck up there, and we've got a couple of volunteer firefighters, wonderful people. But it is just a volunteer thing. It's not a fully manned one. And if we were to get some of this money, we might actually be able to do a fully manned one up in the St. Mary's area, where we get a lot of campers, where there's a lot of fire danger throughout the year. And all up and down the Front Range. If we reduce the fire danger for the people living up and down the Front Range, we reduce costs for them, and then it's I don't want to sound like Ronald Reagan here, but it's a bit of a trickle-down effect. You start reducing costs in certain areas, and it's going to reduce costs in surrounding areas. It will have an impact. Maybe not as dramatic as you want, but it's something that we have got to do. Now, before I jump into public safety, though, I did want to say, one big fear people have about libertarians, and I want to assuage this fear, not just for myself.
We eat babies.
No, that's the fear they have about Marines.
Oh, okay. Is that true?
That we eat babies? I can neither confirm nor
Okay,
deny.
you'd have to kill me, right, if you told me. Okay. Well, I like living.
I have met people in foreign countries, though, who believe you either have to kill a child or one of your parents to join the United States Marine Corps.
Oh, my God. Like, there's some crazy stuff. But before you go to public safety, because you're bad, probably like I'm bad with my own thing without telling people to subscribe and like, but give your... If somebody
website,
wanted
yes.
to support you, like do your little pitch for libertarians out there listening who might like what you're saying, who might want to send you a donation. Because every little bit helps. Everyone knows how libertarian candidates need money.
Yes, desperately. That is the one area I think we hurt more than any other against our other candidates. And that really does limit our ability to spread our message, to put materials together, and to empower our teams that go out there knocking on doors. And if you would like to donate to my campaign, my website is www.lutz, L-U-T-Z, for 49.org.
I'm going to see if I can actually...
Add a graphic?
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
So it's HTTPS, right? You could keep going. So www.lutz49.org.
Oh, you got an extra F in there.
Okay, where?
After 4.
Derp. Oh, and I got
An R in there, too.
yeah, well, it's because my eyes are terrible. Is that correct?
Let's see. Lutz49.org.
Okay,
Yes,
let's see if we can add... There we go.
Sweet.
I'm going to keep that up there the whole time.
Oh, nice.
There. Okay, now great.
And yes, Holly, I completely agree. I cannot repeat what you said, but you are correct. But no, a lot of people worry that libertarians, and I can't speak for all of them, but the vast majority that I've talked to are not interested in Band-Aid ripping. They don't want to get into these seats and just start, well, we're going to cancel this, we're going to repeal this, No. Most of them want to evaluate. They want to dig deep on how these programs are working. Figure out ways to either make them work better, or if they're not working, get rid of them without hurting people. That is the one thing that we want to do that the big two parties and most of your standard politicians don't, is we want to dismantle this kind of stuff the right way. We don't want people hurting from our actions because we're trying to stop that. We're trying to stop the government hurting people.
Yeah.
And I just want to assure, especially anyone in District 49, I am running for this to be a representative. To my libertarians out there, that means I'm not just going to represent you either. I'm going to represent everyone in this district, because we need to show what these jobs are supposed to be doing by doing them the right way. And that is something you can count on from libertarians, is we will do things the right way. Because if we don't, our party actually holds us to task.
Yes, some of the most harshest critics are libertarians, and that ain't no lie. So now, public safety.
Public safety. Now, this is something anyone who... I used to have a radio show... well, I didn't have a radio show. I had a radio segment on a radio show down in Clear Creek County called the Liberty Bell. This was about 5 or 6 years ago or so. And anyone who's ever heard that, or anyone who's ever had the displeasure of a conversation with me in person, I'm sorry. But they have probably heard me rant and rave about the militarization of police and kind of the overreach of the armed arm of government. I do want to kind of preface this, though, with I do know it is not all police. Just like we treat every group, we have to treat everyone in that group as an individual. The same applies to the police. There are people who don that uniform and that badge who are honestly trying to help people and make their communities better. There's a lot who probably want to make their communities better, but don't know the proper way to do that. And then you do have a segment that are really bad, and they abuse their power, they overreach, they get into these mentalities. And one of the first things that I would want to do is go through our police training programs that we have in this state and see what is being taught. If the majority of your time is being spent on marksmanship, you're doing it wrong. In the military, one thing that we learned before anything else was control and discipline. We learned how to follow the orders of the people above us, no matter what, which is why you have 19-year-old kids serving their country in a foreign country in a war zone who gets a rifle pointed at them, but they get told they got an AK, they're allowed to. If they pointed at you, they didn't shoot. You kill them, you're a war criminal. So they will stand there with a rifle pointed at them until they're shot at. Why can't our police be this disciplined? Why? Because it's in the training. Police are not trained to handle combat situations. They're supposed to be here to handle everyday stuff, domestic disputes. We shouldn't be training them to be mini soldiers. That's what they have SWAT for. When you need a military situation handled and you don't have a military unit, you have SWAT. Regular cops shouldn't be rolling around in body armor and an M16 rifle like they're getting ready to go patrol the streets of Ramadi. That creates a mentality that is very dangerous for the average citizen.
And dog.
And dog.
I mean, I'm kidding, but not kidding.
No, because we actually had a problem in Idaho Springs. I'm going to call out my hometown here up in Clear Creek County. We had 2 officers. One who had, I believe, tased and tackled a young deaf kid who was simply walking away because he could not hear. He's deaf. He could not hear the commands that were being given to him. And the officer didn't bother to make sure that the person was actually purposefully ignoring them. And then he also tased a 70-year-old man in his home. In his home. In his underwear. Tased him. The female officer, Hannigan was the male, and then Somerville or something like that was the female officer. Anything went wrong, anything seemed just a little bit sketchy, boom, she had her gun in her hand pointing it at somebody. And this is not policing, this is intimidation. So when it comes to public safety, I know there's a lot of talk about, defund the police, or we need to do this, we need to do that. Well, here's the thing, and this is coming from someone who likes to apply anarchist solutions to things, to see what we could do without the government. If you apply the anarchist solution, you still get the same problem. If you have privately funded security instead of publicly funded cops, you still have the same problem because you're not focusing on the training. So we need to focus on the training. We need to go through it very thoroughly and ensure that what is being taught is what we want our officers to do. If we're teaching them 50% marksmanship, 50% of the time they're going to solve their problems with marksmanship.
And what do you think about sovereign immunity or qualified immunity?
Oh, I hate qualified immunity. I'm sorry, but if
Don't be sorry. This is a libertarian show.
Sorry, not sorry. Yeah,
sorry,
no,
not
that's true.
sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry. No. Now, do not get me wrong. I believe that circumstances should be evaluated one by one. And
right.
Yes, as a cop, you may be doing your job and that causes something to happen that would normally be very detrimental to your average civilian because what they were doing would be very dangerous, illegal, or what have you. And in those situations, it's a case by case, but I don't necessarily mind that cops will get off because they were doing something involved with their job. But when it's just across the board, oh, well, you shot someone in the back as they were running away from you, but that's your qualified immunity. No, that's murder. If you're shooting at someone who's shooting at you and you accidentally strike a civilian, I can see not sending you to prison for that. But if you're gonna shoot at someone running from you, shoot at someone who is unarmed, No, if you pull your gun on someone who is unarmed, I think you should run the risk of losing your ability to be a police officer.
And I think, you talked about training, but I think even removing that will cause a little bit more caution.
Oh,
I mean, when you
absolutely.
write somebody a blank check, don't be surprised if they spend it.
Well, look at civil asset forfeiture.
Yeah.
The cops were given a blank check to take whatever property they wanted, as long as they hit certain little checks in the box. And how many people have had tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars stolen from them from the state, never convicted of anything? I absolutely would want to see civil asset forfeiture gone, qualified immunity gone, and I just have to say this. This is coming from someone who served in Iraq.
You're not going to say pineapple on pizza.
Oh, I love pineapple on pizza.
Oh, heretic. Okay, continue. Sorry.
No, this is coming from someone who, a lot of people, you don't understand how tough cops have it.
Oh, yeah,
I can
you
say
do.
I do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. I've been in a firefight. I've done patrols. In fact, I've done stuff a lot harder than most cops in America have it. Because I didn't get to go home at night. I didn't get to have a cheeseburger. I didn't have all of these other protections. I had to do the job in a combat zone to the standard that was written. So I feel like I can say this. Everything goes on pizza. Sauerkraut on pizza.
People
is
in the
delicious.
military who have seen action, they know how hard cops have it.
And it's not that hard. It really isn't. I'm sorry. But if you are one of these cops who stands up and goes, I fear for my life every day and I don't want to go out there, give up your badge. Give it up. Go be a baker. Go be a candlestick maker. Go do something that is not dangerous. The reason cops are held in such regard, or were at one point, is because you were that line of defense. You stood up and said, I will put my life on the line to ensure that a innocent civilian is safe. Not, I have to go home tonight, so if I feel threatened or I think someone has a gun, I'm just going to start blasting.
Yeah.
No, you take the greater risk to ensure the safety of the civilian.
That's an entirely different mindset that used to exist.
Yes, and that's the mindset I want to bring back. I really do, because cops thinking that they're heroes because they got scared by a cell phone or an object in a hand that they couldn't identify.
Or a beagle.
Or a beagle. And
you can tell my focus is really dogs. But still, one day a cop is going to be killed by somebody because they killed somebody's dog. Mm-hmm. It's inevitable. People love their dogs.
They do. And if cops continue being aggressive towards people, that's just going to perpetuate the problem, because the American people, one, you've got a huge percentage of combat vets out there. And I've been rolled by Jefferson County Police. They came at me with 5 M16s while I was sitting down trying to have lunch one day. And I don't mind telling you all, that threw me for a loop. I went a little nuts. I didn't leave my home for about 3 days after that.
Well, no, that'd be stressful.
Yep. And all because I was following the law. I was wearing a mask. Granted, it was an M40 gas mask from the military, but I was wearing a mask. There was a mask mandate in place, and I was also carrying my sidearm, as I do. I open carry. A lot of people know me for that.
Well, and you're allowed to where you live, so yes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They came in, they took my weapon from me, pointed M16s at me, pinned my hands behind my head, and held me there for about 45 minutes, only to tell me, well, you didn't do anything wrong, but don't put your gun on until we leave. Have a good day. I was having a conversation with an armed Forest Services officer when they rolled in with their M16s like they were taking down a house. Amateur hour, by the way. I know boots coming out of Marine Corps boot camp that can take a house better than what I saw those officers doing.
Do you know yet who's running against you?
I do. So we do have...
Let's hear about this.
So anyone who is familiar with Colorado politics or local Colorado politicians may know, and if I am pronouncing your name wrong, I am so sorry. Judith Amable is the sitting representative for District 13. She got drawn into District 49. Michael Lynch, who was the representative for 49, got drawn out of it. So it is technically an open seat with a experienced Democrat running.
Okay.
And then
and that's her? She's a Democrat?
Yes,
okay.
She's a Democrat. And then we have John Crawford, or is it Caldwell? This is bad. I'm sorry.
I do the same. We're getting old.
We are.
know we are. I know we both feel like we're still 17, but it ain't true.
No. But yes, I believe it's Crawford.
And that's Republican?
Yes, he is. Well, I believe.
Or independent?
Well, no, he is running for the Republican thing, but
Okay.
I think he actually had a primary challenger, and they're getting ready to have their primary.
Okay.
So he may not be in the, and I can't remember who the other person was, but yeah, Republicans and Democrats are both putting up someone for this race, and I have no qualms. I've said this many times about admitting that Judith is going to probably be my biggest challenge. She's a sitting representative. She knows the system. She's won an election before.
But does she relate with the more mountain people?
That is where I think I will have a distinct edge. Because the seat that she had was the one that Casey Becker had.
Which was more urban, wasn't it?
Yes, that was very much so. It was a lot of rural area, but there was so much of Boulder City wrapped up in that they took the majority of the vote every single time, even though it was only like 10% of the land mass.
Are you going to try to debate her? Or?
Oh, I would love to have a debate with her. I think it would actually be pretty good. The stuff that I've seen from Judith, she is a very intelligent person, but I don't think her solutions are as viable, nor the Democrat solutions are as viable anymore, because we don't have the resources to burn, basically, to get the
no
things
pun
done.
intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. No, what we need to, because as everyone knows, this country is staring down the barrel of a recession. We may get lucky here in Colorado and be a little buffered from that. And
I don't think we will be.
And that's, you know what, it's very likely that we won't. We could get hit just as hard. And what we need to start doing now, and what we should be doing constantly, is running our government as efficiently as possible. Cutting out the deadpan, cutting out the waste, and cutting out the anchors that are dragging us back. And all that really takes is politicians willing to take the time to sit down and go through the books. Go talk to the people, and not talk to the managers, not talk to the executives. I know these are the people we're supposed to be able to talk to figure out where to make cuts. Doesn't work like that anymore. You got to go down, you got to talk to your wage employees. You got to talk to your people doing the 9 to 5, the people working overtime, the people at minimum wage or living paycheck to paycheck. Because one, these are the ones who are going to see every single day where that fraud, waste, and abuse is. They're the ones who are going to know the solutions of how to do it better. And then you can run that all the way up the chain and just start squeezing the money out the top. And what I would love to do with that is every time we find a chunk of money that we're wasting, half of it immediately goes back to the taxpayers. The other half, we can start talking about ways that maybe we can put it into different areas of government that are running efficiently and maybe do need a little boost. But we can fund things without upping taxes. We can reduce costs without cutting ourselves off at the knee. Everyone wants to go to, well, let's cut personnel first. Let's cut this first. Let's cut from the elderly. Let's cut from schools. No. Let's cut from the places where we can cut. But the only way we're going to really know where that is we start digging into it. And if we spend 60, 70% of our time fundraising for our next election, we're not spending the time to dig into it.
Gotcha. And I think, wow, we are pretty much at our limit, but there'll be a few things I'll need to cut out here and there. But now people who are listening, and you got lots of compliments in here, and Lydia said you did well, and Roberts, why'd I say Roberts? Oh, it's my Roberts Rules of Order fetish coming through. Robert as well. But
I love Robert's Rules.
I know, and you and I have had our arguments on that,
yes.
and Mike as well. So if you can, I'm usually like totally, grifting for myself, but today I'm grifting for Daniel. So if you can support his campaign, you have the address here on the screen, lutzfor49.org. I'm sure he would truly, truly appreciate it. Libertarian campaigns run on a shoestring, but they make every single penny count, and that would be pretty awesome if you got elected, because it's a huge opportunity, and I know you would do well.
Well, I greatly appreciate that. And I would like to thank you and all of the listeners out there for everyone's support, all of the wonderful comments. Thank you, Lydia, and thank you, Mike. And yeah, let's do something a little different. Colorado has always been about doing something different.
Yeah.
So District 49, let's get together. Let's ditch the two-party system for a little bit. Let's shake things up. Because if you put me in there, that'll make, 49 will probably be the most powerful district in this state. And 2, we will finally see what it is like when a politician represents the people and not their own prerogative.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Daniel. So thank you, everyone, and I'll be cutting it. You all saw the uncut thing, and neither of you, well, me mostly, didn't curse. That's you normally get away with not cursing. You're much more well behaved than I am in that regard. But so I'm glad I was able to do a live show without cussing. So have a good day, everyone. I might be back on later doing history. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I've got convention minutes to do, but we are going to be heading off. Thank you so much. And we're going to go to the closing credits now. Bye-bye.
Gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians, or choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business.